everybody. Welcome back to episode 8 of Nerds on the Mic, where we discuss all things nerdy. I got a special guest with me today. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Sam Sky, anime singer and songwriter, founder of Zero Theory Vocal Technique, and owner of the anime and JDM lifestyle brand Sore Losers Club. That's a mouthful, but we out here. Excited to be here.
Appreciate it. Yeah, for people wondering, Sam Sky, I reached out to him after I did a reaction. I am so bad with names of songs. It was the Initial D song. What was the name of that?
Only You Rage Your
You.
Dream. That's right.
Rage Your Dream. Thank you so much for that. And I've been enjoying having artists on here. For people wondering, last time I had Ben Schuler on here. Now I got Sam Sky. I'm so excited for this, and I'm gonna kick this off. It's an icebreaker I do with all my guests on here. It's called PWR, and it stands for What Are You Playing, What Are You Watching, and What Are You Reading? So, yeah.
What am I playing right now? I just finished for the second time in a row. It's called Fate Samurai Remnant. I don't know if you're a fan of the Fate series, but it's probably one of my favorite franchises of all time. And this specific game takes place in like 1600s Japan, so just after the Tokugawa shogunate really took control of Japan. And there's so much history woven in with like the fantasy. It's like if there was a game that was like my own personal drug, it would be like the Fate series, because there's so much like historical fiction that's woven throughout it, and I crack out on that stuff. So currently playing that. I think I'm gonna start playing Ender Lilies again here pretty soon, and maybe the Dot Hack series over again. And then what am I watching? I just finished watching Psycho-Pass. So if you're familiar with the series, all right, let's go. I had watched everything up to, I want to say they had like mini movies that they came out with, or extended episodes, however you want to look at it. So just before season 3, and I just finished season 3. And then what was the last one?
What are you reading? It could be anything.
I'm reading the portrait or the painting of Dorian Gray, and then I'm also reading. I'm reading. Oh man, it's been a long day. My brain is.
No, you're all good.
We'll go with the painting of Dorian Gray for now. There's a manga I'm reading, and my brain is just not. It's not.
No, you're all good. I'm curious though. I kind of want to ask, what made you start reading The Picture of Dorian Gray? Like that's an older book. Isn't it from like the early 1900s, late 1800s?
It's like Victorian period novel for sure. What made me want to read the Picture of Dorian Gray was I saw the movie, from the 20s when it came out, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And I was looking for a new manga or the next installment of some mangas that I'm reading on my birthday, and I passed the book on the shelf, and it just spoke to me. I was like, now it's just time to read this book. So that's what I picked up.
You liking it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. Without a doubt.
That's what's up. I always love doing this icebreaker because it gets me into like how I always like starting out interviews, which is what kind of like sparked your creativity? Like what got you so creative, not just with music, but with nerd culture as a kid and maybe into your adult life?
Sure. I would say, I mean, anime in general really, I would say, sparked a lot of my creativity, and certainly like my imagination. But I think if I had to like pick like a specific moment in time where it was like a big brain moment for me, was I was watching Princess Mononoke on DVD, and I had never seen anything artistically to that magnitude at that time. It came out in like '98 or '99 or something like this. So
Hmm.
I was way young at that time, and it just absolutely blew my mind. And then from there, I was hooked, and of course got into Toonami pretty hardcore, and that became my life. And then naturally over time, that kind of woven its way into my music as well.
Where did the creativity start with like your music side of you?
Um, my sister had downloaded, back in the day, you used LimeWire and all of these like third-party things to like rip music.
Mm.
And it was a song by Linkin Park. It was Crawling by Linkin Park, and then it was Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. There was Fly Me to the Moon by Frank Sinatra, and then
Yes.
there was Good Charlotte, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Avril Lavigne was on that playlist. That song is
Yes.
like, it's a damn cold night.
Oh
I
my
listened to all
god.
those songs, and like, I don't know, it just those five songs like changed my life. And then I got to shout out Crazy Taxi, the video game. There was a song by The Offspring that was on the soundtrack for Crazy Taxi, and that like absolutely blew my mind, hand in hand with the music from Sonic Adventure 2. Absolutely, that's like literally the sole reason why I picked up a guitar in the first place ever, was Escape from the City and Live and Learn from Sonic Adventure 2. So I would have to that those were like the crystallized moments that I can think of where I was like, that's when I knew I'm going to do music, like no matter what. But yeah.
I love that. I love like the diverse range of songs. Like, oh my god, that is crazy. I just got the biggest smile on my face when you said Frank Sinatra, and then it just got even bigger when you said Avril Lavigne. I'm like, stop now, my god. Um,
Big
so
fan of the
how?
Rat Pack. Yeah, big fan of Frankie. Without a doubt.
Yes, yeah, good man. I love that. So how long have you been playing guitar?
Longer than I can remember, since I don't even know. I was 11. I want to say 11 or 10. My brother had a guitar that he never played, and literally I was playing Sonic Adventure 2, and I heard that song, and I like looked over in the corner, and like it was one of the. Have you ever seen Step Brothers, where he's like, don't you touch my drum set? Like that's how my brother was with his guitar. He's like, don't you touch my guitar, but I risked my life to pick up the guitar while he wasn't in the room, and I just started like picking apart the notes. And yeah, I'm not even like great at guitar. I'm 100% self-taught, and like power chords, you know what I mean, like the basics. But yeah, it's been probably 15 years at this point, 17
Wow.
years, something like that I've been playing.
That's so cool. I've been always trying to pick up guitar, so I love hearing when I've talked to artists who have experience with guitar, even if it's just like being self-taught. I think that's still really cool because it takes a lot of willpower to be able to do it yourself when you're not like paying for lessons, and it's just coming straight from like what you want to learn and how you want to go about it.
Yeah, man, it was super punk rock. Just figured that shit out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. So I guess kind of sparking with like all the creativity you got, like how did you find your way into the nerdcore community?
It's kind of a long story. So, um, I was doing rock music professionally. I was signed to, now it's a subsidiary of Sony Records. At that time, it was the biggest indie label in all of North America.
Wow.
So, ended up, bunch of things happened in my life. Ended up leaving that outfit. Was in a different band. Um, Found out that me and my significant other, Trina, were gonna have my daughter. And at that time, like, bro, I was homeless. I literally was sleeping in my car, and she's like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna have this baby," and I was like, "Oh, I gotta like figure my shit out." So, long story short, that ultimately ended up with me like going the solo route, because I couldn't being in a band is dealing and managing like with a small government. It's just there's so much bureaucracy, and you have to like convince other people to do things, and it takes a lot of time and effort just to have a band practice. So I went solo.
100%.
From there, and I know I'm getting there. I didn't forget the question. I promise. This is all going to the place that you had asked about. A pretty significant event happened in my life as well, and that was one of my best friends passed away in a tragic car accident. And so between like wanting to go solo and then kind of like this awakening moment in my life of, life is super short. Like we need to we're here for a purpose, and we need to shine as brightly as possible and make as much of an impact as possible. And the only way that I think that you could truly do that in like a profound way is if you're yourself and you're authentic and you're genuine. And anime is a huge piece of who I am, and I kind of put that, at least from an outward perspective, on the back burner. So from that point on, I just started incorporating my music wasn't necessarily about anime at that time. It certainly was inspired. It's always been inspiring me. But whatever I was watching at that time, I would make the AMV or make the video visuals from that anime, right? And so from there was, are you familiar with Sailor Your Love? Have you heard of Sailor Your Love before?
Yeah.
So she saw one of my TikToks or something like that, and she had messaged me, and she was like, hey, whenever I listen to your song, I absolutely love it. Do you want to do a song with me? And at that time, I was like, I feel like, especially from the world that I was coming from, there's so many self-important musicians that are so absorbed with their own bullshit, that it was just super refreshing that somebody was just putting themselves out there, and I just want to create something, and I had like such a hunger for that. I was like, absolutely. And then through that interaction, that's how I uncovered nerdcore. That's how I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole subgenre of people that are just as geeky and nerdy and into the things that I am. And that's really where it started. So shout out to Sailor Your Love. You're an absolute legend. Thank you for being so encouraging and inclusive for me, because stumbling upon the community was a life changer for me. It was a game changer without a doubt.
I could definitely see that. I won't go too personal on this, but like with all the stuff that kind of happened, like how did you kind of pick yourself up from? You talked about like you were at one point almost homeless.
I was homeless. Not almost homeless. Yeah,
I were homeless. Yeah.
I was homeless. Yeah.
And you went through like what seems like a lot of adversity in what sounds like a really short period of time. How did you kind of pick yourself up and kind of get yourself like back going again?
It's not that I ever, to be honest, when I was homeless, I didn't care that I was homeless as long as I was making music. Like I didn't give two shits, right? But I think what changes your perspective is when you're about to be a father or something like that, and you're like, oh, I need to get this together. So at that time, I was a part of a band. I was recording with Dan Corneff, who recorded like Paramore, Breaking Benjamin, Pierce the Veil. There was a lot of really good, exciting things happening at that time. So I never stopped going. I just needed to divert that energy and attention into other things and kind of diversify. And I would say how I kept that going is because I had to, right? There's things that I've done and accomplished that I never would have been able probably to accomplish if it wasn't for the fact that I had other lives solely depending on me. So that's one. And then two, I would say I accepted any help from anybody, any chance that I got, right? I think that, pride is good to have at times, and it's also hindering most of the time, I would say. So I kind of had to get over myself and accept help here and there. And we definitely had a lot of help from a lot of amazing people that really, guided us through that very tumultuous time.
I got that. Thank you so much for telling me that.
Yeah, of course, man.
Kind of diving now, heading towards your YouTube, I really wanted to talk about this. Because, again, you talked about you've done a lot of AMVs and stuff, but what I find interesting is your first ever video on your channel is actually an official music video. It's called "I'd Rather Die Alone." I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet, but can you kind of talk me through like how that first video kind of came together and came out?
Yeah, sure. I used to shoot and work with this actor. His name is Chris Sheeran, and at that time he was doing a lot of videographer work. And he really likes black and white, very like gothic texture. So he was like, "Hey, let's shoot this music video in a graveyard." And what was crazy is that the moon was all the lighting that is in that music video was either via moonlight solely or just the street lamps that were out. There was no additional lighting. It was just straight up run and gun status, shooting a video. And it turned out really, really, I'm actually, yeah, I still love the way that video looks and
Cool.
Turned out. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Kind of when I was looking at that, the first thing I always do is go find the oldest video on people's channel and kind of ask about that. But what I also found interesting was a lot of people have I would say basic banners, but a lot of people have banners that kind of represent their brand, basically just a big cover art of who they are. What I found interesting was on yours, your banner has a kind of a quote on it. Essentially, it says, "Find what you love and let it kill you." Could you kind of talk to me through what does that quote mean something especially to you? Was it something you kind of told yourself, or is there something, or is there another meaning to around that?
Yeah, I would say definitely it's obviously a very meaningful quote to me, and that's technically older branding. Thank you for calling that out. I gotta update that. But it's still definitely a part of the foundational branding for what I do. And I think all it really means is, who gives a shit how many views it has? Who gives a shit how many plays it has? I used to release songs that would literally get 3 streams a month, or we get 5 streams across 6 months. But at the end of the day, it's I love the music that I was making. I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm gonna work harder, better, faster, stronger, be more passionate, be more engaged, be more enthusiastic than anybody else, right? So that's really what that quote means, is that just once you find that thing that you're supposed to do, go all in, give it everything that you've got, and that's exactly what I've done. I think that's really what I've built my entire brand off of, is that kind of relentless authenticity and that refusal to give up on your dreams no matter the circumstances.
I love that mentality so much, because one quote I've lived by, especially since I built up this channel, was you gotta love what you do, because you're going to be doing it for a very long time. And if you don't love it, then you're kind of just wasting your time and wasting your life. And I love that meaning for that quote.
Absolutely, man. Life is way too short to be doing shit you don't want to do.
100%. So gotta go against, the reason I found you was that Initial D song. And what I found interesting was, there was this group, it was called the Sore Losers Club. Could you kind of talk to me and kind of elaborate on what Sore Losers Club is and its meaning around the community?
Yeah, sure. So it really doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the community, I guess, kind of an adjacent fringe way, I guess you could say it does. But yeah, I mean, the short of it is I watched this anime called Initial D, and growing up, I'd always seen it in the manga aisle, and just the way that the animation style was. First of all, it was about cars. If you would have asked me 5 years ago if I would ever in a million years give two shits about cars. There was two things that I hated growing up, right? Is like in high school and stuff. It was just like the dudes who were all into their cars and all that shit. And then I hated sports. I hated sports. I hated anything having to do with sports. Those are the two things I most hated. So if you were to tell me 5 years ago that, Sam, you're going to start an entire brand about street racing and cars, I would have been like, you're out of your fucking mind. There's no way that's going to happen. But yeah, I watched this anime Initial D. Really because it was like, nostalgia at that point. I was like, I saw the manga in Barnes and Noble and in the manga aisle growing up, but I never read it because the art style was very shoujo-esque. It looked like a romance novel, and I was just like, forget that crap. But yeah, I watched it. It totally ruined my life. I became absolutely unhealthily obsessed with cars, street racing, JDM, Toge, all of the things. I don't know, you can't see it right here yet, but this is a whole sim rig that I have. The computer that I'm on right now is literally, I bought it for the sole purpose. I don't do anything on this computer that I'm talking with you on, except for VR and simulation driving. That's like literally what I got this for. So I got a sim rig, and then I started the clothing company Sore Losers Club, because at the end of the day, I'm the biggest. I hate losing. I'm an absolute sore loser to the umpteenth degree, and I think it ties right in, right, to find what you love and let it kill you, and refusing to give up, right? I think at the end of the day, a sore loser takes their licks, they eat the shit sandwich that they're given, they learn from it, and they get back up again, and they're better for it, right? And they find a way to win. I was saying it's a good sore loser finds a way to win, in asterisks with integrity. So that's kind of what inspired that name, and yeah, it's JDM just stands for like Japanese domestic vehicles, right? So the Japanese domestic market vehicles. So you're talking about like RX-7s, right? Trueno 86, all the classic 90s JDM legends, right? Kind of come to mind when you think about JDM. So it's taking JDM and then anime and fusing them together, and that's kind of what stylistically what Sore Losers Club is made up of, and so in collaboration with that brand, released a bunch of inspired tracks from Initial D, and other like street racing JDM-esque inspired stuff in correlation.
That's so cool. Though wow. That's crazy, the roots that came from.
You caught me on like literally the only day of my life that I'm not wearing my own clothing company. I pretty much I sleep in my clothing company. I work out in my clothing company's apparel. This is just, yeah, you caught me on an odd day where I'm rocking my Evangelion Unit 01 jersey.
That's so sick. Kind of based on everything you've built up, is there one project or one song that you would consider like your favorite, or something that like one project that really like you hold close to your chest because it means a lot to you?
Yeah, I would say Dead Friends. Dead Friends was the first song that I incorporated anime visuals into, and it's the song that I wrote about my best friend, who incidentally, he passed away in that car accident on my birthday, right? So talk about like a crazy, like life-changing, the antithesis of what you would expect to happen on your birthday, and so years and years and years later after that happened, I finally I took myself to my own therapy session via writing that song. So I would say that was really the turning point for me in merging all the things that I like together in a one-stop shop. So Dead Friends, yeah, without a doubt.
That's so sick. As I've seen on your handle with your Twitter, you're going to Nerdivation. Is that
Nerdivation, correct? Yeah. Shout out to Mark Cooper, the absolute legend, for putting that all together. Yeah.
You're gonna be performing at that, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely, with a bunch of other absolutely amazing people. I think Omega Red is going to be there. Ty Weezy is going to be there. Yellow Blade is going to be there. Obviously, Mark Cooper will be performing. Yeah, there's a slew of other people that are super talented. It's going to be a really good time.
So I kind of want to ask this question because I was thinking about this actually. I was like, how different do you think the experience is performing live in front of people versus, say, like doing like multi-track recording with what you work on, like on normally?
Yeah, I would say it's a bit like comparing apples to hand grenades. They're both green. They're both roughly the same size, but operate very, very, very differently, right? There's songs that I recorded because I wasn't playing out live, that I was like, whatever, I'll record this. I'll never have to sing it live. And it's like, now that I'm performing again, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have recorded that. I shouldn't have sang that high, or I shouldn't have made the song that difficult. So it's always humbling to play live because you really, need to put your money where your mouth is. And I'm not knocking anybody that does this, but I do not sing with the MP3 or the full song. A lot of people perform and they literally just have the studio track playing with them and they sing along to their studio track. That's almost every convention I go to. That is 98% of the performances are exactly that. I don't do that. I sing. It's me singing, and then maybe there's doubles or there's harmonies supporting my voice, but it's very hard to mask if you can't do it. It'll be very, very apparent if you can't do it. So it's been really good for me to just again challenge myself. I've got major social anxiety, that the less that you expose yourself to being uncomfortable, right, the more uncomfortable you get, the more anxious you are, the more worried. And so being able to step back on stage has definitely I've had my fair share of anxiety, but it's helped me step back out of my comfort zone and really take ownership of what I love to do, and to hopefully stand apart from other people, not only within this space, but musically in general, as a good, solid, or great live performer. So yeah, it's in short, Silver Ranch, it is totally different from recording. You could just do one take, in the studio, and you could chop it up a million ways and just sing one little line to get the performance the way that you need it to. But live, you got to do it all. You got to piece it all together,
No, I'm sure that's got to be. I love that comparison you made. The hand grenade.
That's the best way that I could describe that. It's like they're kind of about the same weight, but they function very differently.
I'm sure. So, as my real last question that I kind of have is given from where you started, starting with a band and then kind of running solo, and then starting with your first song from 6 years ago, how far do you think you've grown from where you started to where you would say you are now?
Yeah, I went 3.5 years with less than 300 followers on Spotify, and much, I think I had maybe a little bit over 1,000 followers on Instagram. And obviously followers, at the end of the day, if you don't have engagement, if they're not real, who gives a shit about followers? But it is a slight indication of growth if it's done organically, right? So the fact that I went from literally having 30 monthly listeners. There was times where I might have had a little bit over 1,000 monthly listeners, maybe for a stretch of time. So now having 30,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, the growth is exponential, right? Even this year, I'm looking at a 50% year-over-year growth from what I was doing last year. I think I did just over 1 million streams last year, and I'm going to do, I think, if my run rate continues, I'll do well over 2 million this year, and I got monetized on YouTube. I'm now, kind of got multiple streams of revenue coming in. So yeah, it's exponential growth since I started. It's huge, without a doubt.
That's unbelievable. Congrats, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. And I didn't do it alone. Obviously, it's a lot of drive and dedication, but got the chance to talk with a lot of cool people like yourself, and got the chance to work with a bunch of really great artists that have helped me along the way. So yeah, super grateful.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And my very last question is there anything that you would like to add that maybe I might have missed during the interview process, or anything else you would want to say to your fans and or to the Ranch Nation?
I would say to either my fans or anybody else out there, or Ranch Nation, everybody, first of all, super grateful to be here. Thank you so much for reaching out to me to have this conversation. I think that you and channels like yours are a part of the lifeblood of this whole community, just as important or more important than the nerdcore superstars that exist within our space. So super grateful for that. But I would say to everybody that's out there, keep going. Just if you have something that you want to do, somebody that you want to be, set your focus and your intention on that every single day and keep going. Who gives a shit about the followers or the plays or whatever else is out there? If you love what you're doing, if you enjoy the process, if you love the process, as they say in the business, if you love the process, you're winning. You are absolutely winning. So yes, keep going. And then the last thing I would say to everybody is that I feel like growing up, I really didn't have a lot of people, or really anybody, tell me that they believed in me, right? And so I want everybody to know that I believe in you. I believe in your hopes. I believe in your dreams. You can do great things, challenging things that you never dreamed of that you were able to do. You can do those things. And more importantly than that, I've learned that it's not so much that other people believing in you, sure, that helps and can definitely make an impact, but what really matters at the end of the day is that you believe in yourself, right? And so just like you set your intention on what you want to be and what you want to do, set your intention, even if you don't believe in yourself, pretend like you do, and eventually that will become a truth. So again, super grateful to be here. Thank you so much, Silver Ranch. It's been awesome.
It's no problem. Everybody here, make sure you go check out Sam Sky's channel. He does really good work. I am looking forward to. I definitely will be giving a few more of your videos reactions very soon. So thank you so much. And to everybody here, if you enjoyed this episode of Nerds on the Mic, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that bell for notifications so you don't miss out on Ranch Reactions, gaming, commentary, music, anything else that I drop on this channel, because all the love and support means the world to me. I'm only about 120 subs away from 1,000, so
let's go. That's huge.
Thank you so much. Y'all can help me get there and mean the world to me. So with that out of the way, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Sam, for being on here. And y'all take care and have a great rest of your day.
Love, peace, and grease. Bye.